Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TMG Entertainment. My name is Aaron Canola. I am joined by Mr. Nicky Sullivan, and we are back once again this week talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier for the final time, for the moment at least, the final time talking about it. I'll go ahead and go to you first. I mean, there's no real introductions or anything. You know why we're here. Let's get into it. Nikki, what were your kind of thoughts on the episode overall before we start breaking it down?
It was kind of like what I'm expecting. Like, I love the episode. I love the show more as a whole than I love like this as a finale. Like, I think the show works watching it in a big like 6-hour bingeable format. I do understand them releasing it week to week just because it's a more profitable business model and it keeps people talking about the show. I really think the shows are filmed to be like in one chunk, whereas they're edited to be in an episodic format. So like I know it's always intended to be a TV show over weeks. It's just I feel like they're a little bit more consumable as far as the story goes. We were talking like if they could really like nail this ending, it would be like top 3, top 5 Marvel stories. I'd still put it up there. It's just like when you have all those episodes building up, I think it works better when you're watching it in a big chunk and then just going, yeah, the ending, awesome, and like it's a final action sequence, as opposed to what we got in this and what we did get in WandaVision as well, where it's like, okay, it's a 50-minute episode. You're going to have 25 minutes of the continuing story, and then you're going to have your 5 Return of the King endings. So as far as like the episodic format of it this week, I feel like that made things a little lackluster at points. But when it comes to the story points, when it comes to Captain America, when it comes to the Winter Soldier, I love what we got in this episode. And I love the question, like this entire episode, I was asking like during that opening action sequence, who's the villain here? Who's the villain? And I think the answer is Batroc the Leaper, apparently, is the big bad of this show, because like the rest of them weren't very villainous. It's kind of just a bunch of people punching up, doing things. Like they were all kind of fair. Yeah.
Batroc just wanted his money, man. He didn't want no smoke. He just wanted his money.
He wanted to kill Sam. Like you wanted to kill Sam.
Yeah, because he lost his money.
Yeah, but like more money, more problems.
Man, just work.
And
I got 99 problems and a Falcon ain't one.
He's wearing all of his mauve things. He's shooting like smoke grenades. I don't know, but it was just that. I'm glad he died. I'm glad someone died here. You know, someone had to die.
Well, we got more than one death, but we'll get into that.
Not a good day to be on the Flag Smashers.
It's kind of funny. I do agree with you. I think it's kind of funny how, despite the fact that as show formats, they're so different, but they both fell into the same trap by the end, which is the penultimate episode really held a lot of the emotional catharsis, and this is like the last 20 minutes action sequence of a film, and then the closeout, right?
And that's how you solve it, though. That's how you solve it. You don't, and even with WandaVision, going back to how they aired the first like 3 episodes on the first like week that it came out, they didn't do that with this one. But I think that problem is solved on both of these shows if you have the 2 episodes air as the season finale back to back. You just release 2 episodes in that last day. That way you make it, and you keep it as the event television, and the event then gets bigger. I hope they're listening, because if you're thinking of doing that for like Loki or other shows, do that, because with WandaVision too, like you're saying, like the emotional backstory, that previously on episode, we get all the emotional weight, and then a week later, it's like, okay, we're starting the episode with a big fight, and you really don't get that build up. The like, you know what I'm talking about. You got to be like teased first.
Yeah, it's and with this one, I did have some episodes with the issue in and of itself, and I can talk about specific little things didn't work for me here or there. I thought the episode had some weird editing and kind of felt like it was rushing to the point at times. But it's kind of funny, kind of like with WandaVision, this was a show whose plot and its ability of what it was trying to do was affected by COVID. We now know with WandaVision that they had whole sequences planned and proper exits for characters like Kat Dennings and Ralph Boner that were completely cut because they were constrained. They couldn't do it. And
they had the pandemic thing, like there was supposed to be a pandemic,
the virus storyline. Yeah,
this one, even more with the editing things, I think with this it was less about a COVID thing and more about, okay, we had a scene where we revealed something here, but we're gonna save that for something else, like the origin of the Shield. I thought with the line that Julia Louis-Dreyfus had last week about the Shield, how it's not even the government's, I thought we were going to get some sort of resolution about like the Shield being adamantium or the Shield being them talking about reforging the Shield, where it came from. I think that's something they're putting a pin in that for that said Captain America movie or Avengers movie in the future.
Oh, see, I just took that as her being quippy to mess with him. And we'll get to her character because, I mean, whether she's good or bad, she is Kate McKinnon levels of corny. It's so weird.
She is Veep though. Like that. Have you watched Veep?
No.
Okay. Her character, Selena Meyer, is a vice president who then runs for president and becomes different things along the way. She is 100% that character. It is not even like, oh, this is a very similar character to that. She is saying the same sarcastic. So the only difference between this character and the character on Veep is that that character on Veep said fuck and cock every 2 seconds, whereas it's a Disney Plus show, so there are no cocks allowed.
No cocks, no fucks.
Falcons, guys.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Let's kind of go through the plot, break it down a little bit, talk about it. So we open up where the last episode left off. The Flag Smashers have invaded the GRC hall, where they are having a meeting about basically. This is where there's like ADR added and stuff. Basically, they're trying to redefine borders and force relocation and kind of shift people who have been affected by the people coming back. And so the Flag Smashers are attempting to stop that meeting and take the senators who are holding it hostage. And Bucky shows up, Sharon Carter shows up, Falcon shows up with that new Captain America suit. He got the new wings on.
Falcon's not there anymore.
Falcon, which I do kind of like. I never thought. I never thought about it because I don't know if we've seen this. I love the fact that somebody says when they're like, "That's the Black Falcon." Yeah, I've never thought about that, but I kind of like. I feel like that's how people would probably refer to that character, like in the public.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing: both my mom and my father, I have heard them call him Black Falcon before. I have heard them say Black Falcon before. It's like, no, that's not Black. It's just Falcon.
It's Falcon.
Just Falcon. Like there's Black Lightning, there's Black Panther, there's Black Widow, and then there's just Falcon. And I love the guy where it's like, no, that's Captain America. I love that moment. I love that. And then when he smashes through the window and the guy, who are you? I'm Captain America. I thought he was on the moon. I loved that. I thought we were going to get a post-credit sequence with Old Man Cap on the moon. I really thought we were going to get that. Just because I bet he's actually on the moon. They've said it too many times for it not to be. He's on the moon with the Inhuman, with Black Bolt's brother. He's still on the moon.
All right. So they are invading the GRC building, and to kind of move, like the episode kind of picks up and runs. So Morgenthau, who is now teamed with Batroc, George St. Pierre returning. Captain America, excuse me, let me be right. Captain America gets into the building and is immediately attacked by Batroc, who has stated straight up, like, I'm just here for revenge. I want to kill this dude. Meanwhile,
cool.
Yeah, he looked cool. And meanwhile, Bucky gets has a phone conversation with Carly Morgenthau, basically which is the first time we've ever seen him come on that like mentorship role, where he's trying to be like, listen, I know the path you're headed down. I've been there before, and trust me, if you survive this night and you kill these people, you're gonna have to live with that, and it's not fun. and it's kind of that last ditch effort of like, can we try and talk her down? Can we still try and talk her down? Can we still be humane? And it obviously does not work, as it's revealed that the phone conversation was just meant to be a distraction so that he wasn't actively tracking them as they get the people out of the building. What did you think of this whole opening as a whole? Because there's not a lot of detail with the opening. It's just a lot of action. There's a bike chase. There's the Batroc Captain America fight.
Yeah.
We see Carter beat up a dude quickly. Like, you know. So what did you think of the opening and the way that it just kind of threw you right into it?
I liked it and I didn't like it at the same time. And it's one of those things that it's not really a problem with the show. It's more a problem with the release structure. Because I do think if we had cut from Sam looking at the suit last week and gone to the scene where Bucky is on the street investigating. I love that one cop calls him Sergeant Barnes. They're doing like the police line, and then the guys are go ahead, Sergeant Barnes. I loved that because it's like he hasn't been promoted. He's still Sergeant Barnes. That's pretty low ranking. Wait, come on, guys. You can't make him Captain Barnes by now, or General Barnes, Marshal Barnes, something that's other than Sergeant Barnes.
Well, to be fair,
but what it showed was that people respect him even though he killed JFK.
I was gonna say he was an international assassin. He was not earning his stripes.
The Kennedys. Like, they would not just forgive that guy. Like in the real world, like there would be. I wish this show, like that's the one thing I will say overall. We played a lot into the Falcon being a black Captain America. I wish we had seen a little bit more of, hey, isn't that the guy that killed Kennedy? Or like just walking down the street, because realistically, they would not let him walk down the street. They just wouldn't. Even if he was free, he would not be. He would have like a secret service detail at all times. But I like people respected him and like on the ground. We saw Emily Van Camp have her little secret mesh Mission Impossible Black Widow mask.
The mask came back again.
Yeah, I did like that. That was a good. I
was
heard
like, that's a
early. Like we're gonna see a mask underneath the mask one of these days.
I was like, fuck, that's a callback. Jesus, like
the little.
I'm like, wow.
How did she get from Madripoor to New York in 5 minutes? What kind of technology? Did you get the impression that it could have been possible that she took the super soldier serum, or do you think that that's not at all possible?
No, I don't.
No,
I think it's just a case of like
being tough.
Yeah. Because it's one of those. It's kind of one of those things where, in the previous films, they established that she's an agent, and she's a highly trained agent.
She's a good agent. Yeah.
She's a high-ranking field kind of officer in SHIELD, and then she's CIA afterwards.
And then CIA, CIA did co-opt the super soldier program. That is something that Wilfred Nabel said a few episodes ago. Is that after Hydra fell, the CIA co-opted the research.
Right.
So that's why she knew about it.
Right. So that's one of those things where it's like, look, they established that she's a good agent, but they never showed her do anything. And to be fair,
the more of the healing factor.
The one action scene that she does have in Civil War where she takes on Bucky, she holds her own as much as anybody else in that team does.
And Black Widow's there with her too. She does well.
Yeah, so to me, it's not really a shock that she's done as well on the show as she has. I think it's cool that we're finally getting to see that training put to use, but it's not a shock because
stomach though. Like, didn't it seem like she was shot like in the gut? Like, she
kind of went to the side.
Her leg.
It went to the side.
Holding, like, right here.
I think it like went to the side because she's got her arm across her whole stomach. I don't think she was literally shot in the gut like that.
That was more what I was referring to, because it's like Sam just Captain America just leaves her bleeding out there and is carrying Carly. It's like, shouldn't you be carrying your friend that's bleeding out?
Well, there was probably help. Like, she got help.
Yeah. Help. Bucky.
There were paramedics already on the scene.
Yeah.
Like, so it probably didn't take very
ceremoniously, like angelically carrying her Carly's body down to the cops. He comes down from the heavens with her. That seems pretty cool. But we get that thing with Bucky. He does the motorcycle thing with Steve does, where he kind of uses the speed of the vehicle
to throw himself.
throw himself. Yeah, I like that.
I like that. That was cool.
And Falcon, just like going back to where he just pops through the window. I like how you get a shot of him like flying by the camera, where you like quickly see the suit with the shield, and you just like kind of see the shield coming through, and then but like you get the money shot. Which, how is he keeping those white parts of the suit that clean during this fight? I'll forgive it because it looks badass, but it's just, you got to make the white parts red, just because you're going to get blood all over you, and that white isn't going to stay white for long. And then after Batroc, he just throws the shield out the window and then flies and catches. That was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah. So we'll move forward a little bit to what's one of my favorite parts of the episode. So kind of talking about Barnes. So he's going after the transports that have the hijacked senators in them. Barnes arrives and attempts to try and take on the Flag Smashers, but they're doing a decent job of holding him off. And then eventually they come up with the idea of setting the truck on fire, forcing him to have to evacuate to go get the senators, so that way they can
the parking meter, which I really like.
Yeah, so that they can escape. And that is where we get the entrance of one John Walker, in which we get one of my favorite lines of the entire series, just for the way they use it, where, again, Carly Morgenthau is for the most part written as a sympathetic character, but I like that the times they showed her in this episode, I like that they do show, no, she's well beyond reason at this point. Like, even if she doesn't realize it, she has been radicalized in the way that Zemo thought she already was. And I think it's kind of funny that, like, by thinking she was radicalized already, they have kind of unfortunately radicalized her themselves. Which I think is kind of a fun, like, an interesting twist to it.
Even our own people are questioning her actions at this point.
But we get the people who Walker shows up, and we get the line where she says, I never meant to kill somebody who wasn't important. And immediately you see the flip where it's like, oh, you shouldn't have said that.
And I don't know about you, but at that moment, that's where I'm siding with Walker, where it's like, okay, they were playing Walker as kind of this ambiguous character before, but right here is where it's like, okay, you know what? No, you're wrong. Walker, kill her. Like, I was rooting for him in that fight.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things that I'm very interested by, to see how they handle it in the future. Even despite the fact that he's a trained soldier, despite the fact that he's a trained soldier and now has the super soldier serum, he still gets his ass handed to him. And it's not till Bucky comes in and kind of takes some of them off him that he's able to get up and hold his own.
And I think he put a little bit too much faith into that fake shield that he built. Like, he was like, okay, I'm going to build this shield and it's going to really, like, help me out. And then he's just like, okay, yeah, this does nothing.
Fair,
all of it.
I think that a lot of that is symbolic, in that all of his faith in how good a person he is at that point has been invested into the Captain America role. And so to him, taking the shield, taking his position away, is saying you're not worthy. And that's everything to him.
Even though he doesn't say a lot in this episode, he somehow has a lot of growth.
Yeah, like, you see it.
Because I thought at first that when people were saying, like, the initial reaction of, oh, he decapitated that guy with the shield, like blood on the shield. Initially, that reaction, I had the same reaction everybody else had, like, oh my God, this guy's a monster. He's insane. You can't do that. And then I started thinking about it more and thinking of the whole entire, like, U.S. agent aspect of it. And it's like, go back to, like, the show 24. Like, it's a show about, like, a counter-terrorist agent. Jack Bauer decapitates terrorists a lot on that show. And when it happens in the show, the audience is like, yeah, good on you, man. You just decapitated that terrorist. But when you see Captain America do it, that's what the shocking part of that was. It wasn't necessarily like a police brutality thing, which I think is fair for a lot of people to bring up because it is evocative. But I think it was more looking at it from a counter-terrorist standpoint, where it's John Walker, good soldier, bad Captain America. because they kill unarmed terrorists all the time. Like that's how they kill terrorists. They kill them by going in and getting them off of their guard. Osama bin Laden was not armed when they killed him.
Catch them with their pants down and dicks out.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. That's how you do it. That's how you kill them. So John Walker in that moment, especially after just losing his friend, after just being and not even factoring in the super soldier serum, but he's essentially Captain America is a public figure. And the guy that he killed had just participated in carrying out a plot to assassinate him. He was well within his mandate and well within his job duties to execute that guy and decapitate him with the shield. And I think it's more symbolic with the shield, blood on the shield. Captain America by far cannot do stuff like that. And that's why I like the ending where it's like, you're not Captain America. We don't need Captain America. We need a U.S. agent. We need someone who can do the things that Captain America is frankly too righteous to do. Because Captain America, they talk a lot about the symbols. Symbols give no meaning without the men and women that bring them meaning. John Walker is not supposed to be a symbol. John Walker is supposed to be the guy that you don't hear about on the news, the Jack Bauers of the world, that foil the terrorist plots before they happen. So I think he had a lot of growth in this episode. He definitely, I was rooting for him against Carly, especially with that line where Lamar didn't matter, because no matter how they were painting John Walker in this show, it seemed they were always painting Battlestar Lamar in a positive light.
Well, to me, that's a thing of my look on that is, okay, you are now somebody who has lost sight of your own movement, right? Because she's doing everything, as she says, for the people, this is bigger than us, this is bigger than us. But then you're calling somebody else, someone you killed, not important. And that's, to me, you have lost the grand scheme of why you were doing this, because you're so shit deep in it. That
and even her own people, it's it doesn't matter if we die. And then her own people are looking at, wait, we don't want to die. We were just
right. So to kind of keep it going with the plot, to kind of get into the next bit, so we get the moment where, and like you said, a lot of nonverbal stuff, great acting, great directing on Wyatt Russell's part, taking the direction and acting well. We get the moment where he gets one-on-one with Carly Morgenthau. He is very, very clearly beating her. And she gets away and she sets a truck over the edge. And Walker has to make a choice. Do I save these people, or do I go after her and get my revenge? And we get that moment where internally he wants to go after her. Yeah. But the good in him has finally overwon that need for a vengeance. And he goes and does the right thing and attempts to save them. We see him. The first thing we see from Bucky, who's down below, the shield is chucked over the side. That's I've dropped that. To me, that was symbolic of, look, I just need, fuck titles, fuck all of this petty shit. I need to be a hero in this moment, and this doesn't matter to me anymore. I just need to be the good
people. That's his MO. Rescuing people was what he was there for. He was a special ops rescue ranger type person. They even said that on the Good Morning America interview. That's why he was so acclaimed. That's why they picked him, because he rescued people, not because he went after the bad guys. That was not his job. His job was not to investigate. His job was not to gather intelligence. He was a rescue operative. And he did that job extremely well. And we see that in the episode, because he throws down the shield. He's like, which one of these means more to me? Being Captain America or saving the people? And he chooses to save the people. And in that, even though it ends up being inconsequential because of what happens,
he
buys time. And for a minute, did you think that was gonna fall and that it was gonna fall on Bucky? Because for a second, I thought it was gonna fall on Bucky, and then the next second, I'm like, oh wait, no, Bucky's gonna catch it. Can Bucky catch it? I thought for a second that maybe he would do that.
No, I never thought they'd drop it on him.
Yeah. I was worried.
So he attempts to save it. But the other super soldiers that are still there kind of come up, beat him from behind, chuck him off the side down to
Yeah.
Bucky, and Falcon ends up coming onto
Captain
the
America.
scene. Hey man, whatever.
Captain
He's Falcon
America.
for the
I'm
show.
gonna correct you
Falcon,
every time. He is Captain America.
yeah, we don't have that kind of time. Falcon shows up and saves the truck. He pulls it back up. He drops down. And again, to me, one of the things I said, which obviously I was incorrect, but I partially, but my thing for a while has been they're either going to have him go full psycho or he's going to have that hero turn and become the hero in that
Yeah.
moment that he needs to be. Now, my belief was that they weren't going to do anything further with him. Clearly, that's not the case. He is alive at the end of the series. But again, we get that moment of like, and that's one of the things I like about the show. And I saw somebody comment on something on Instagram where they went, why the hell did he start working with them all of a sudden? They didn't even like talk to him or anything. And it's like, because at the end of the day, they all know that they're all there for the right reasons now. You don't need to see that conversation. We just need to know that
rolls his eyes a couple times where it's like, and the body language says a lot, especially with Wyatt Russell. Like he's like being a little bit handsy with Bucky. Like he's tapping him on the shoulder. They're joking. One thing that we didn't mention, we kind of like skipped over this a little bit that I liked, and I liked it because we hadn't really seen it since Iron Man 3. Where Falcon uses Red Wing to scan the hostages and see if any of them have flight training, and he realizes that woman has flight training, and then coordinates with her, works with her to save those hostages. And I really like when the police helicopter goes down, and it's like, okay, because right when the main mission is to save the people, that's the primary. Like that's the prime directive right there. You need is to save the people. That's the mission. That's what Tony always said. You're stalling to protect the people. That's the mission. If you haven't forgot, and that's what he said. But I love that because he's working with the hostage to say, and that reminded me of Iron Man 3, where like there's the barrel monkeys situation. He's working with people. Just because they're hostages doesn't mean that they're useless. And I love that where he just shrouds the person with the wings and the shield, and everybody's just cheering. Like technically, he doesn't need the shield because the wings are vibranium too, but the shield is symbolic, and that really comes into play when you see the 2 red wings that he has now, much like Iron Man before him, with those drones that he had in Spider-Man: Homecoming, putting the ferry back together. You just see the shield first. That's the first thing that you see in that shot when you say that is the shield. So I love the symbolism there.
Yeah. So we now have the trio teaming up together. Walker's working with Bucky and Falcon.
Cap.
Whatever. And so basically they're at the bottom of that ditch. The truck is saved, and Batroc kind of leaps in and starts firing smoke bombs to cover the Slag Smasher's escape. And we get no. What? I don't even know what you're.
You just said that he leaps in.
Oh no, I didn't.
That's bad.
So we get this like tunnel sequence where the Flag Smashers themselves split up through the tunnels. Walker and Bucky split off together. Falcon takes his own solo route. But we get to Sharon Carter, who's also entered the tunnels, and she comes across Carly Morgenthau first, and we get the Agatha reveal of this show, which is Emily Van Camp's Sharon Carter is the power broker. Basically, when Morgenthau's operation was first rising, she brought her to Madripoor, took her on, gave her the super serum, gave her the serum herself, and kind of was funding it. And Morgenthau attempted to take the serum and take off, basically, and go separate. And that's why the power broker was after her. So we do get that answer at least. And I'll get into this a little bit later, because to me it even hits more when we get to the post-credit scene. The entire time, because we kind of just got, because they didn't really try to hide it, because her actions have been shady the whole time during the show. But it didn't really hit me until we actually saw her playing the villain. This doesn't work for me.
Okay, here's the thing,
It
though.
doesn't work.
I'm interested in hearing this because Power Broker,
Specifically,
we really
I'm
just know as a name, but the Power Broker, the only reason like the Power Broker was even in play was because the Flag Smashers stole the serum from them, and like that was really their main villainous thing. But could it be possible that the Power Broker, that Emily Van Camp, isn't as much a evil character as she is a neutral, like a chaotic neutral character? Because all we know about like the Power Broker was that she was trying to kill the Flag Smashers, and the Flag Smashers are terrorists. So
I mean, well, but it's not for terroristic reasons though. She also funded and started them.
No,
It's
and she
because
likes
they
the power
left her.
too.
It's because they left her and they stole from
So
her is why she wants it. Yes, to
yeah,
me she is an antagonist. And
okay.
again,
Oh
as I'm
no, I
going
agree
through
with
this,
antagonist.
as I'm going through with the plot, we'll get to the post-credit scene later. She is definitely an antagonist, but
And
to
she's definitely
me,
working for someone.
it doesn't. I don't buy it. I don't. And again, I'll get into it with the post-credit scene because to me, that was the moment where it really hit
So
me. So
yeah,
in this scene,
not
we
in the
get.
sense of writing or in the sense of acting.
I'll get to it later.
Or do you think she's undercover even more?
I'll get to it later. There's something they say in the post-credit scene that stood it out to me, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't buy this at all. So this is what it is. So she confronts Morgenthau, we get the reveal, and then Batroc kind of comes in mid-conversation and is able to deduce from what they're talking about that the woman who hired him to go after her, to kind of work with her and spy on her, is also the Power Broker, and he threatens to blackmail her, and we get the one moment where I actually truly believed her as a villain, which is she just kind of looks at him dead in the eye and just goes, I don't do blackmail, shoots him in the head, kills him. That's it. Boom. Batroc's done.
But again, that's where that's where that gray area plays in, and even more so than I was saying with Walker before. Batroc's not a good guy.
Yeah, but she's not.
We know she shot him in cold blood. Well, cold blood isn't. He had a gun.
But here's the difference, right? There's a difference between killing someone for justice reasons and not. She's killing him because he's trying to blackmail her. It's not like she's killing him because she thinks he's a horrible guy. He might be, but she still hired him, paid him, used him. He's attempting to blackmail her. So she shoots him to avoid that.
And I like that line because it does somewhat clarify her motivations a little bit. Because I'm still holding out suspicion that she could either be working for Fury, working for Ross, working for Doctor Doom, or is a Skrull.
We can get into it later. I've seen all of the above theorized.
Here.
So yeah, so we'll get into that later. Yeah. Like I said, we can get into it at the end. But so she kills Batroc.
Yeah, she kills Batroc.
Yeah, and in the same scene, Morgenthau, it almost doesn't seem like, I don't know if it was intentional or she was more just shocked and like pulled the trigger, like trigger finger, but Morgenthau shoots Sharon Carter. At this point, Wilson arrives on the scene, having just conveniently missed the admission that she is the Power Broker. Wilson arrives on the scene, and we get one final confrontation where Wilson again is attempting to empathize with her, humanize with her, calm her down, get her to a conscious state of mind, end this in a way that's not violent. And she retaliates in the complete opposite way, where she's beating on him and saying, fight me, I want you to fight me, stop submitting, don't. And he won't. Yeah, and I love that, because at the end of the day, for the longest time, his role was attempting to diffuse situations like this as a therapist. This is his nature kicking in. This is, look, I understand why you're doing this. You're doing it wrong, but I get your point. So I don't want to kill you. I don't want to do this way. And she's just past the point of no return.
Defensively, whereas Walker Walker used the shield as a weapon. Sam primarily used the shield to defend.
Yeah. Which is funny because he spent the entire last episode using it, training as a weapon. But that's the point.
Yeah.
So
even as a weapon in defense too, because even when like he throws it through that helicopter and then like saves the people. So every time he throws it, it's to save people, not to kill. And I guess you could do the internal motivations of Walker too, but like he uses it in a very protective way. It's symbolic.
So we reach a point where Morgenthau is able to kind of catch Sam at a point where he's exposed. She points a gun at him in a threat to shoot, and Carter is able to get at her gun and shoots Morgenthau and kills her herself. And it's kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy of what Zemo said episodes ago, which is she will become radicalized to a point where even if you try, the only way to end this is by killing her.
And don't you love guys like Zemo? I love him and I hate him, Zemo, because like guys like that, it's like they're they're right. They're right all the time. It's just they're so like that in itself, like Carly, radical, but at the same time, being able to see all of that stuff, also radical. Because you're saying, like, at that point, you're saying, like, as an observer, that my observations are more superior than anybody else's. So in itself, you become a supremacist. Anyone who fights supremacy in that extreme of a manner becomes a supremacist themselves because you can't see the viewpoint of other people. That's why Sam is pure. That's why, like, he deserves the title, because he tries to actually see other people's perspective of it.
Yes. Which leads into exactly the next scene, which is, just to kind of point it out, at the same time, which it was a funny scene, but Bucky and Walker use the same app that the Flag Smashers use to communicate and rendezvous with each other to arrest them, which again,
because they weren't using a VPN. They were not using a VPN. Joaquin says it in the last episode. He's like, they may be using a VPN. I don't know. If they were using a VPN, they would not have been able to track them. So, guys, buy NordVPN. NordVPN is official sponsor of this Falcon and Winter Soldier review show. No, they aren't, but they could be if they want to pay me to read a script.
So they capture the other Flag Smashers. We'll get back to that in a second. But
quote. That's
Falcon brings Morgenthau's body outside, and he speaks to kind of really the way to put them is the few faces we recognize from that meeting, the ones who got lines that we saw their face move. And he has this conversation with them where they basically say, listen, we're still going ahead with our vote. We're still going ahead with our plans. These terrorists have only delayed us. And we get what is, in my opinion, one of the best written scenes in the MCU, but also one of the most ham-fisted. I think it went on a little too long, but the point of everything that he was saying, I loved, and I love the approach of, listen, for once, something happened to the world where we all have a common ground. Our lives all got fucked with. One way or the other, our lives were destroyed and torn for 5 years. And now as a world, we need to come together and rebuild. It can't be about one over the other. It has to be together. Otherwise,
and it applies to our world now. Like we're all dealing with this global pandemic. Like we have a common enemy now. So why are you all being bitches?
Which, it's a very interesting idea. And, he brings up the fact that, listen, I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes. I'm not your traditional blonde-haired, blue-eyed, which it never hit me. But Russell is blonde-haired, blue-eyed. It never hit me, but it's like, he is.
They were trying to create, like, it's like that Batman thing, like in the Batman comics, like you have the Jason Todd Robin after the Dick Grayson Robin. Batman forces Jason Todd to dye his hair so that he looks more like Dick. Batman loved Dick so much that he forced a kid to Batman loves Dick, guys. There you go.
Batman loves Dick. So So I love the point of the speech, and I think it is very well written. It's really well written, and the way that they execute the point and get it across is really well done.
Yeah,
And
I think it's edited poorly.
yeah,
Like,
just what are you gonna do?
It's ruined with the editing, where like they're going to like the news footage and stuff, showing people watching.
Yeah,
I think that's where the hand-fisted thing goes
yeah,
over. Where if it's just
like
him talking and not everybody cutting,
would
oh, we're inspired. Because when you're cutting to people, it's like the thing that I think Grant brought it up on After Dark, where like Monica's going through the like the wave of energy, and like we're hearing all these like things. Oh, you're the toughest kid around. You're never afraid of it. All like these pep talk things where it's like when you let that play naturally, it has a more powerful effect. And
yes.
when you're showing it, when you're like showing the reactions of all the people, oh, he's having an effect on us. We
Like,
don't need to see that because his words are having an effect on us.
the only one that I could have lived with
Isaiah.
is Isaiah Bradley, but
Because
we get back to him later anyway, so we didn't need to see it. Like, listen, I honestly I have no clue who the guy is, but I thought he did a great performance. Danny Ramirez as Joaquin Torres. I thought he was great for the little bit that he had in this show.
He doesn't need to be in this episode.
Yeah, like if he was going to be in this episode, I would have rather had him be in New York. Put him there. Have him be a part of the action.
They don't show Ayo or War Machine looking at Falcon on TV.
Right. So like that's my thing is like I understand that, and like specifically with Joaquin Torres, I kind of get what they're going for, which is like, listen, we're clearly setting him up to kind of become like I imagine in this.
Show the wings in the background. Show him working on the wings in the background so that it actually sets something up. I
imagine that with this film that they're making, that he will have a role in it, and he'll kind of become the third of that trio now.
Stan will absolutely too, and I hope John Walker does too.
Let's get the band together, man. So I love what they're doing with him, and I like him as an actor. I look forward to seeing him in something now. Like I don't, I'd never.
Yeah. Oh no, he's good. He's going to be in the new Top Gun movie whenever that comes out. But when it comes to also an Air Force pilot in that, but when it comes to like the when you said the three people earlier, I thought you were referring to Falcon, Red Wing, and Red Wing. Because Red Wing divided and conquered, and this is another just small detail, but I love it. His thruster pack, it's now blue. Like the thruster, the energy, it's blue because like vibranium or whatever. Yeah, it's blue. And yeah, that's another thing. Like Carly's holding a gun to him. It's vibranium suit. Vibranium suit. He's bulletproof, guys. He doesn't even.
She didn't know that.
The shield is to protect it. They put it in everything. Andy Serkis told us it's in everything. They put it in their clothing.
But she doesn't know it's Wakandan.
Oh no, she doesn't know that. No, but Sam knows. Sam knows that. And it's just an interesting thing. And like, I know that it's because of that's the way it looks in the comic. But why does he have the half helmet? Like you're flying, dude. Wear a helmet. Protect your skull.
He's wearing goggles before.
Goggles, yes. Wear goggles. Goggles are important. You need to protect your eyes. But if you're on any sort of motorized vehicle, wear a helmet. Wear a helmet and also wear a parachute. Why did it take Tony Stark until Spider-Man Homecoming to build a parachute into those suits? If you're building a flying suit, the first thing you do is put a parachute in it.
Because no one hurt themselves till Rhodey broke his back.
But that doesn't matter. You put a parachute in it anyway.
Yeah. But hold on. All right. That's a whole nother tangent.
I am in a tall building. If I am in an airplane as a passenger, I want a parachute.
That's a whole nother tangent. And you can literally check the films. There is a history of Tony only building shit into his machines after something happens.
There is. Tony's the smart guy alive.
That's a total. Yeah, no. He only builds mechanisms in to aid that when something happens.
Completely agree with you. It's not a plot hole. That was not me nitpicking. That was me questioning the intelligence of one Tony Stark. Listen,
he named a pair of glasses Barf. Anyways, so moving on. So he delivers this beautiful speech. And so basically Bucky and him leave. We get kind of the other memorable line for me from this episode, which is, and to be fair, I like that they did put a joke in here. I know Marvel gets criticized for like disarming all their dramatic moments with humor, but I like that they put it in only because it was getting a little ham-fisted. I like that they drop it like, oh, even though they show shots of him watching and loving what he's seeing, he's like, I was texting. I mean, I got the gist of it. Something, black guy with a shield.
Like, I checked out after Black Man Wearing the Stars and Stripes, I think was the line.
Yeah, it was very funny. I thought the joke worked.
Yeah, and I like that too because there was a few more like the crowd asking. One of them I really liked was like, "What do we call you now? Falcon, Captain America? Do we call you Captain Falcon?" Because Captain Falcon is a different character. Play Super Smash Brothers. Falcon, yes. Punch, Falcon kick. So every time he punches someone, I just want to say Falcon punch. So that's why I refuse to call him Falcon anymore. He's Captain America, guys. He is Captain America.
Not till the ending credits, then they officially deem it so.
Captain America, guys. So Isaiah Bradley. Let's talk about it.
Well, I was going to say, as he exits, we get the reminder that Wilson's going to get a pardon for Sharon Carter. We also get, which again, I like that not everything needs to be said. Like I had a conversation with a friend and this was one of the same people who brought up why don't they talk about being on the same team? He goes, hold on. He goes, so they're going to walk away from all of this and that dude's murdered somebody and he took a super soldier serum and they're not going to talk about it. They're just going to give him a nod and let him go off. And I'm like, well, think about it. I said, even when they took the shield from him, they acknowledged that he did what he did out of anger and compassion.
Sam did not condemn his actions. That's the big thing about that episode, and that's one thing that I thought before the day of that episode. Like, so it airs on Friday for the entire week until Thursday. I was like, no, screw John Walker, that guy's crazy. And then on that Thursday, I was like, okay, this is a counter-terrorist agent that just killed a terrorist. He did his job. He did the job that the United States government gave him the mandate and the training to do. And he even says to the government is the real bad guy in this series.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at who's the villain in this series, it's the government.
Yeah. And so I said to my friend, I was like, listen, I was like, in the end, he didn't kill an innocent person. He killed a terrorist. Technically, he was a part of the Flag Smashers. He killed him. I said, and they all know that he only did what he did because Lamar died. Yeah, and so it's one of those things where it's like
done the same thing.
On some level, it's forgivable. And I said, plus, I'm like, it's not like Walker showed up to New York to try and fuck with Falcon because he was mad he has the mantle now. He showed up, accepted the situation, and said, I'm here to help. What do I do?
And that's what the trailer made it look like. They released like a trailer for like the final 2 episodes. The trailer made it look like, no, I am Captain America. You are fraud. Wait. He says, I am Captain America. And then it just shows them both like in the street and it shows like Bucky racing toward. Like it really paints John Walker as the villain of this series, and he's not. He's not a villain. No, he's not as big of a victim as Bucky was, but he is still a victim. He is a victim of circumstance because he never should have been Captain America in the first place.
Yeah,
he did the best he could.
Yeah, he's not a villain, and so that's what I said to him. I was like, listen, if you were in that position, I said, and despite everything that happened, so I was like, remember, I said at the beginning of the show, he's the one who wanted to work with them, and they're the ones who said, fuck off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Paint this in real world colors. If he was holding a gun and he was wearing an American military uniform and he was killing a real world terrorist that had some like disillusions of when they were a kid and they actually wanted to join the army and then decided to become a homegrown terrorist instead, nobody would have batted an eyelash. They would have pinned a medal on the man. If he had just shot the terrorist with a gun and was wearing a United States military uniform, they would have pinned a medal on him. They would not have been condemning him. They condemned him because he decapitated the man with a Captain America shield in a Captain America costume. That's not good.
And so I just said to my friend, I was like, look, at the end of the day, I said, they know he's not a bad dude. No. And I said, why would you want to pick that fight when instead you can just give him a nod of acknowledgement, say, hey, We're here if you need us.
You did the
And
right thing when it was
on
important.
on his end, it was, I'm here if you need me. That's how I took it, which is why I'll get into. So let's move on, because I want to get to the
inconsequential too. So whether he killed that guy, and now we know in hindsight whether he killed that guy there or that guy lived, regrouped with the Flag Smashers, and blew up in the van later, he dies either way.
Well, so let me move on, just because I want to close up, kind of start closing up the episode. What's it? So we get that scene where the Flag Smashers are on a truck being taken to the raft. And I do love the fake out in this scene where one of the soldiers says, one world, one people. And I'm thinking, oh, so they're not done with this. And then they immediately blow up the truck, and it's revealed that Zemo's butler was there, and he kind of took care of the remainder. He took care of the remainder. Right. He took care of the remainder of the mission. So, and again, this doesn't have to be a huge, long thing. This is just kind of my thought on it. I am on a 50-50 split if we'll ever actually see Zemo again, only because his mission is complete. He was never the villain. His whole mission was to avenge his family and then to eliminate the super soldiers. He did avenge his family by splitting up the Avengers. He did win there. The ones he's gotten to know, he acknowledges, you're not all bad people, and maybe I was partially in the wrong there to do it. Yep. He made peace with Black Panther for the crimes there. And now all the super soldiers, except the ones that he willingly can trust, are eliminated. Right? And even if, because I did think about this, even if he doesn't know, because he doesn't know that Walker's a super soldier. He disappeared. So Walker, he doesn't know that Walker's a super soldier. Yeah. But in the inherent trust that Bucky and Sam now have in him, that is by nature Zemo's trust, because he trusts them enough to probably trust someone they trust.
I think it's leading to the same point. I think Walker's storyline and Zemo's storyline is going to converge, and they're going to have to work together at some point. And the biggest reason for that is like Zemo's story is complete, and it was. Like I think it was even complete at the end of Civil War. He's ready to kill himself at the end of that movie. And like that's kind of a subtle thing that isn't really like even spoken of. He could have killed himself in prison. He could have killed himself in prison either one of those times. We saw him get out, and we saw him enjoy life outside of prison. So he does still, even though he's still devastated by the loss of his family, he still has things to live for, and he still has reason to participate in things. And that's why I think like people have been speculating about like a Dark Avengers or like a Thunderbolts thing. And I do think we're going to see something like that. It's just, I think it's going to play more towards like a Marvel version of DC's Suicide Squad, where John Walker's your Rick Flag, U.S. agent, and needs to work with these villains that he wants to kill.
But my thing is, and why I don't think like something like that, Zemo couldn't really contribute. Like, he's not physical.
He's
in
rich.
a Suicide Squad sense, he's not physical. He's not, like, there's no point in bringing him into a fight.
Look at the Suicide Squad, though. But, like, I hear what you're saying. I hear completely
but they're all physical villains at the very least. They're dumb.
Like, Abomination would be a better, like, brute force strength guy. And,
I don't mean metahuman. I just mean, like,
no, I know.
He's got, he has military training, but it's very minimal compared to other people. He's really not.
No. He was Sokovian Kill Squad. So he was part of their most elite task force. I don't know. It's the Sokovian military. But here's just what I want to say to you, like when it comes to that.
And to be fair, I don't even want to.
Zemo versus Captain Boomerang. Zemo versus Slipknot. Zemo versus Deadshot. Zemo could probably take on most of those guys that are in the Suicide Squad. So even though they probably wouldn't put him realistically in a team like that, it's just this is a comic book thing, and we like that purple mask. So, yeah.
I guess all I'm saying is if we never see him again, I wouldn't be shocked, because in terms of his arc, I don't think he needs to come back. Not that I wouldn't be open to it. He's been good so far. I just don't think he needs to. So
and
with
if you
that
want to
said,
see him again, Rush is the number 4 movie on Netflix this week for some reason.
I think it just got uploaded.
I think it's because Zemo showed up on Disney Plus, and then people were like, "Hey, Zemo, let's watch Rush. Great movie.
No,
Watch Rush."
I'm pretty sure Rush just got uploaded on Netflix, so it's a new film on Netflix.
But it's a
so it's
great
been
movie.
showing up in their new. Yeah, that's why. So
It's
anyways, we move on, and again, like you said, this is kind of the Return of the King. Okay, everyone's getting their wrap up. Well, no, so even before Isaiah happened, we get first we have Walker with Contessa Valentina Fontaine, because she said don't call her Val,
but do call her Val.
So this is my worry already, and again, I don't know 100% what they're planning to do with this character, with this Contessa character. I don't know what the plan is for her, whether she's a bad guy, whether she's a good guy who's just really fucking quirky, whether she's somewhere in the middle. I don't really know what her plan is. But here's my thing.
She's a United States government official.
Part of the reason I wanted him to die is because, and I do stand by this, John Walker is one of the best written characters in the MCU. My problem is, with the bulk of his arc complete in terms of his emotional journey and now him stably understanding who he is now, I'm worried that he's either going to become a hero and slip into that mediocrity level. Like, I would hate to see him wasted as a Rick Flag character, because Rick Flag had no character. Outside of boning Enchantress, he had no character, and so I don't want him to fall into that
than anything. But no, I hear what you're saying.
And so
we haven't seen the new Suicide Squad yet, so reserve your opinion of Flag until after that. I meant more comic book Rick Flag.
Right. Well, and then my other thing with him is, if this woman is a villain and she's secretly setting him up to kind of fall back into villainy.
Yes.
I don't want that, because we already did that.
But that's why I compare him to a Flag or to like a Deadshot type character with the Suicide Squad. Like look at that first Suicide Squad movie. Waller is not a good guy. Waller is not a good person.
No.
Rick Flag is a good person. That's what I'm kind of trying to say with that comparison. So this Val character, I'm comparing her to like the Amanda Waller, and like if Flag.
I think honestly, the more I think about it, I just think I don't like the sound of that concept in the MCU.
I get it. I just think it, and I know like I don't completely like the sound of it either, because it's kind of like one of those things with the comic books where if you look at comics, Marvel has always ripped off DC. I just think it's going to happen. Because I don't think they would have even put her in the show and even put this scene in the show. And I think this scene in particular with the U.S. agent suit, I think that would have worked better as a post-credit than even as part of the show. Because when they showed like that barbecue in New Orleans, I thought that like, did Walker come to the barbecue? Because when they're walking and they're doing the mission earlier, it's like, does John Walker have to come with us? Like, that guy's a douche. But I love that. It's good.
So I like the look of the suit. I hope we see him in a good context again. They've done such a great job with his character arc that I'm very worried someone else is going to fuck it up.
I don't think you'll ever see character de-evolution from him. I think what you'll see is consistency in the character. Whereas when he's happy, he's a good guy. So it's the super good makes better, bad is worse. So you'll see those extreme moments from him because the serum's still in him. His anger is still going to be enhanced by the serum. So I don't want you to look at that as like character, like degradation, as much as it is them referencing part of his character that already exists that can't go. Because it's like one of those things, if you have like a drug addiction or alcoholism, you're struggling with that your entire life. So he's going to be struggling with those rage issues that are enhanced by the serum his entire life.
Right. And so then to move on, the next one that we see,
5 yeah.
um, and this one was a little.
Japanese.
This is one of the ones that was a little rushed to me, but we see Bucky go back. He has this conversation with Yori where he reveals to him that he killed him, and then we get one more shot where it's kind of Bucky having to leave something that made him happy behind to make others happy. He looks in and he sees the waitress he went on a date with, and he sees Yori, and even though Yori's in there alone, not with Bucky on their normal day, he is happier than he has ever looked before because he now has the closure.
Yeah, and sake.
And well, but the point is the closure, not the alcohol. And so
I disagree. I think the alcohol helps.
All right, you know what I mean. And so and to me, I like what they were doing. I don't know if it's like a cutting room floor thing, but his arc is one of the things that was a little rushed about the show. Yeah. It seems like they did such a great job in the first episode, and then it kind of just gets dropped and forgotten. Mm-hmm. And it's something that comes back. I am glad we got that closure. But even the scenes themselves, the way they were edited, just felt real chop and quick. Like if something's got to go for time.
Yeah, Stan even said that this was Mackie's show, and it should be. Like he was saying, this is Sam Wilson's story, and that's how it should be.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, to so deeply delve into this in the first episode,
it's the first episode.
It gets that rushed resolution a little off. So then the next one
shown, like if this was a movie and they were like leaving things on the cutting room floor, they would have just shown the nightmare and then not shown him going to dinner. Like they wouldn't have shown they wouldn't have shown Nakajima. They would have just like maybe shown him taking him out to lunch, like at the beginning where he's talking to that douchebag who's putting his trash in his Don't put your trash in your neighbor's trash can. If you put your trash in your neighbor's trash can, then your neighbor can't throw their trash away that week. Don't do it.
Don't do it. So then
you are.
The next one, Wilson visits Isaiah Bradley, where they have that discussion that basically boils down to, look, you may have bled and suffered for the country, and I understand your reservation about seeing me take up the shield, but that doesn't mean I've spent all my life fighting to turn away now. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we get the final moment with them where he takes him and Elijah Bradley to the Smithsonian, where it's revealed that in the Captain America portion of the Smithsonian, kind of like how Bucky has his own little section, there is now a section dedicated to Isaiah Bradley.
And a statue.
Now, this is one of the small parts, and this isn't really a criticism. This is just kind of something that blipped into my head that only stood out because I think the show has done a good job of maintaining realism as much as it can. I find it kind of funny that the government just seemingly handed him whatever he wanted, including making public stories that have been held private for the terrible things the U.S. government did for centuries.
The Smithsonian is not owned by the government.
But I mean, the fact that story was released and that they could put it in there, they would have had to get it from someone.
No, I know. I hear what you're saying. It's just like, I'm one of those things that overreads things too. So the way I look at that was the Smithsonian, Sam gave the Smithsonian the shield. And then the government came in with some bullshit paperwork saying, no, that shield belongs to the government. The Smithsonian loves Sam. They have no problem with Sam. Sam gave them the shield. They were happy with Sam. The government is who the Smithsonian has a problem with because the government's the one that came in after that whole new exhibit was placed and then took the shield away. So the government, again, the government's the bad guy there. And I think the Smithsonian, once they heard that story, I like to think the people that work at the Smithsonian, Diana Prince, Cheetah, they're good people. They work at the Smithsonian. They want to tell the truth as much as anyone. People who work in museums are students of history. They are disciples of history. If you could really be extreme, I just
thinking.
No, I am overthinking it, and I just love history and archaeology and all that stuff. So they would absolutely put a statue up there, despite the American government. I would love that. Yeah. I love the Smithsonian. Go to the Smithsonian if you haven't been. It's great.
All right. So,
but that's a beautiful scene too. Just overall, I love Isaiah's reaction. I love like the way his nephew acts. Like he's all like attitude when Sam gets the door, and then he's like, where are we going? Yeah. So like they could be setting up a Patriot thing there. Maybe not. Maybe that's just a nod.
Yeah. So then we get so that's the final one, and then we get obviously before the show closes out, we get him and Bucky back in it's Louisiana, right? That's where they are.
New Orleans, yeah, Louisiana.
Yeah. So they're back in Louisiana. I don't think it's actually New Orleans. There's a city name on it. I just
outside of New Orleans. It's like when I say I'm from Boston, I'm from outside of Boston technically. But still.
Right. So so they're back on the bayou, and they have a little town party, and really it's just a bunch of nice closing shots. We see Bucky holding a bunch of children off the arm, and it's just a nice little wholesome kind of community thing to end the show. We get the retitling of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and then we get the post-credit scene, which is the government, again, kind of just going with whatever Wilson says. The government pardons Sharon Carter. They offer her old position at the CIA back, so she's back in the CIA, and then she walks out, and she's immediately on the phone to an assistant saying, hey, get the black market buyers ready. We now have access to government weapons, government details, government planning, yada, yada, yada. Let's sell all this shit.
That's not what she wasn't get it ready. That was a client. Because she was saying that soldiers are off the table, but we still got a lot of good stuff. So that to me, I thought it was a client, and I was thinking, okay, who's she working for? Me, that was there's always a bigger fish. Who's she working for? Do you think that was a named character she was to, or like literally just the assistant that drove the car before?
No, I just thought it was an assistant. I just thought it was, hey, for her, I don't think there's a bigger fish anymore, and that's my thing. So this is my thing, right? And again, you and this isn't a detriment. You read into things deeper than I do because you have the comic knowledge more to do so,
and the time.
And so that fair enough. And so that's how we approach this. That's how we approach this differently. My thing, and this is why it bothers me. They mention when she's getting her job back and all that, they mention her family's legacy and kind of what Peggy means to America. And I really thought about it when the episode ended, and I went, hold on. I said, the last time we saw this woman, she is in tears because her beloved Aunt Peggy, a woman who meant everything to her, a woman who she's only in this business because her aunt was Peggy Carter. And, she breaks the law and goes on the run to get the equipment for Sam and for Steve because she had that much belief in Steve based on how much love Peggy had for him. Everything is about her aunt. I understand that she may have gone through some shit while she was on the run, and obviously, whatever, she went to Madripoor, she rose to power, whatever. But to me, without actually knowing what happened and getting details and really understanding the journey she went on, and again, at that same conversation I had with this friend, the way that I kind of explained it to him is, so imagine you have this friend that you've known all of your life through all of school, right? But then you graduate high school, you go to college, and you're at college for 4 or 5 years, whatever. And you don't see this friend for those 4 or 5 years. And then all of a sudden you meet back up again, and they are a totally different person. Top to bottom, personality-wise, they're a totally different person. And it's that complex of you may have gone through some shit that changed you, but I just can't believe that this is how you're acting. And that's what I'm feeling towards this character is, look, you may have gone through some stuff that made you think this way, but knowing just how much a few years ago you held Aunt Peggy in such a high esteem and the fact that everything you did was for her, if she knew what you were doing now, you'd be disowned.
I like
And that's
that.
my
I like
thing
what you're
is
saying.
not believable to me. It's just not believable.
So are
Now,
you saying it's not believable for? So I'm asking, is it like from a writing standpoint, or is it from a show standpoint? Like you're shocked, you're disappointed in the character, or are you disappointed in the writing?
I think it's more just because the concept I don't think is all that terrible. I just don't think they showed me enough to make me understand it, is really what
Okay,
it is.
yeah,
Now,
no, I'd
to be
agree with that.
to be fair, people before the movie was even announced, and we'll get into the movie before we end the episode, but before the movie was announced, there was discussion on the internet. What are some properties she could fit into going forward? She could be in Armor Wars, since that's going to deal with governmental use. She could be in, other types of shows like that. And
You mean Shang-Chi?
obviously, I don't think she'll be in Shang-Chi.
But that's why I think like she could be in it, because Shang-Chi's one of those movies where what's the crossover there?
I don't think there has to be. It's like
No, I don't think there has to be either, but look at a movie like Black Panther. Black Panther, or like, probably Captain Marvel. Black Panther and Captain Marvel, look at those two, or maybe Doctor Strange. Those ones were the movies that had the least amount of crossover. And even those had like a little. Doctor Strange probably had the least amount.
Yeah, I would say so.
But even Captain Marvel had Fury. Black Panther had Martin Freeman and Bucky at the end. Like, there's things there.
But
Ayo.
Fair enough.
I love Ayo. Shout out to Ayo. Where's Ayo reacted in the television?
So that's my thing with it, is just, and again, when I first heard the concept, it's not a conceptual thing, because when I first heard the idea, I went, oh, that's rather interesting. But it's just something about the way it was executed. I'm not sold on it. And it does, and that line made it even more poignant for me, because it really is a case of like I understand the whole concept of like, for 8 years I was on the run and you guys never helped me. And sure, I understand it. But if you were truly that indebted and that beloved to your aunt, and the impact that she had on you, and the legacy that she left behind, and staying true to the heroes and everything that they set up with her character in Civil War, this is a total betrayal of it. And it's not done in a way that has convinced me that it's a good character arc.
But to be honest with you, like, you saying that like makes me buy it even more. Because at first I was thinking, oh, no, she has to be working for someone. But when you put it into that context of, like, especially with Aunt Peggy and all that stuff.
Glad I'm convincing somebody that it works.
That makes it more believable to me, because it, if you become disillusioned with something, you end up realizing, okay, all that stuff with Aunt Peggy and Steve, it all meant nothing. It all meant nothing. So when you start doing, I think it's more one of those things that, like, that applies to it too. But also, she went on the run. She had to do what she needed to do to survive, and she liked it.
Yeah, I mean, again,
that's more what it is. Like, Aunt Peggy was saying all this stuff, the criminal lifestyle, that's no good or anything. Be good, be a soldier. And then she started doing the criminal lifestyle. She has that line, like, if you're going to hustle, you might as well live like a hustler. I think she liked living like a hustler better than she liked living like a soldier.
I mean, and that's fair. And again, what you're saying conceptually isn't terrible. I can see the angle. I'm just not convinced by it.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, if they put her in something else and they shine more light on it, or this leads somewhere, like, okay, you can sell me on it, because I'm somebody where I have reached a point where even if I don't like something, I am willing to have my mind changed on it. I fucking hate the multiverse. I think I've said that once or twice, but I fucking hate the multiverse. But you know what?
You're gonna have to worry about that.
You know what? If they can change my mind, good for them. They earned that. And that's the thing.
They can change your mind, which is why I don't think they're going forward with it. I think it's literally going to be a Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, done.
Oh, I believe that, but I even, like, for Spider-Man, it concerns me.
But I even think that they believed that. Like, I think Marvel, like, I think you are the person that Marvel is worried about, because a lot of people have that opinion where they're on board, multiverse throws them out the window. Like, they're like, nope, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And I
Whereas
think that they know that, which is why they'll resolve it by the end of Doctor Strange.
To me, it's the equivalent of like being in a stable relationship, and then you have that one fight where it's like, oh, that fight, but you love them so much that you're willing to give them a chance. Like, that's what this is.
That. I can't relate to that.
Neither can I, but it's just a comparison. But Marvel and Kevin Feige in particular have done such a good job at executing even the stuff that I'm not as fond
if
on.
Anyone can do it, they can.
Right. If anyone has a chance, it's them. Like, don't even get me started on Flashpoint. That's a whole nother thing.
But what you were saying about Sharon before, about how, like, imagine you go to high school, and I'm like, oh, I went to high school. Imagine you had friends. Oh, I have friends now, too. I went to high school. I have friends. I'm so stable. I have a job now. I'm imagining all of these things. You painted my life in such a different light, Aaron. Thank you.
I'm happy I could do that for you. No, so yeah, that's my one major hang up on the episode. And it doesn't detriment it that much for me, because at the end of the day, it's an end credit scene that clicked it. But it's like, it just...
Well, I was surprised we didn't get a second end credit scene. I was like, what the hell? That's it?
I'm not sold on it yet, but like with everything, I am open to having my mind changed. And listen, I'm so open to anything being good, because I don't want to waste my time.
You just want it to be good. You're just worried that
Transformers has a success rate of 2 of 6, and I'm still sitting here hoping that the new movies they're making turn out good. I want them to be good, but
I like all of those movies. I literally like every single one of those movies. The third one is my least favorite. Anyway, we've got our last hour. What final thoughts? Like, what do you think of the show?
So,
the finale? I'm sure we might talk about like the show overall on After Dark, especially.
Yeah, well, the movie. If anyone's watching this before tomorrow night, the movie will be the headlining topic. I've already finished the show notes. We can talk after that. I've already finished the show notes. This came out, so I'm just going to make it an audible, because there's really not a lot to it. It's just it got announced and they have writers. But yeah, so overall, I love the show. Right now, and what I'm going to do is, which is what I'm doing with WandaVision, I'm probably going to rewatch WandaVision in like a week or two. I'm giving myself a couple months of space, and then I'm going to rewatch the show as, a connected piece of media. Did that with WandaVision. And see how it sits for me. This WandaVision right now,
was a little underwhelmed doing it by that way. Like, I think WandaVision worked better week to week, but I think this works better as a whole.
This right now, at least for me, and even with my tiny bit of criticism with this episode and the way it was kind of handled at times, out of 10, I'd still give it a 9.5. I still love it.
Nice.
Out of which this is now the 25th project out of 25 projects that the MCU has produced, it's number 4. I do love it. I think it's up there. I think, to me at least, the only movies better than it are Iron Man, Avengers Endgame, and The Winter Soldier. And I do love it. I love how well it's written. I love the fact that it's not scared to tackle harder, more difficult topics that a lot of these blockbuster films tend to stay away from. I love that they're willing to tackle it head on. They're not ducking and dodging. They are straight up going for it. This isn't like what was it earlier? It's not like other sci-fi films and sci-fi projects.
Captain Marvel is so afraid to be Captain Marvel.
Well, it's more like in terms of the serious topicness, right? So we're talking about like issues with race, right? Yeah. It's not like other blockbusters where they'll attempt to tackle it, but they'll do it through, and this is not a detriment to any of those.
That's why I referenced Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel and Maria Rambeau are clearly in a relationship before Carol leaves to go to space, and they pussified that. Like, they were not, for some reason, they just did not have the guts to say that Carol and Maria were like in a relationship before she disappeared, because they were. Like, if you look at that movie, like every single Marvel movie has a love interest in their origin story, except for Captain Marvel. That's because the love interest was Maria Rambeau, and they were just too scared to say that. So that's why I like bring that up as one. Like this show though, like
Maybe.
Falcon is black, and they are not afraid of saying that. Like, it's not.
That'd be a bad thing to be afraid of saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I really enjoyed the show. I think it has one of the best written characters in the MCU in John Walker. I think it handled its, for the most part, its story arcs really well. Anything that I had issues with are all very small bits of issue. And the only two episodes that, to me, like with WandaVision, there were episodes that were up and down. Some episodes were clearly better than others. Whereas for me, this show was pretty much entirely consistent. The only exceptions being the third episode, which only felt weird because it was an entire middle episode. There wasn't really a climax or a beginning, or it was just the middle. And this episode was like if you just watched the last 30 minutes of a movie. It was a little odd in that sense. But overall, it was really well done, well directed, well written. Shout out to all the actors. I think I've referenced him every single week, so I got to bring his name up. Derek Kolstad.
Derek Kolstad,
dude, aiding with the action. I mean, and again, you can feel that influence on all of these episodes and the way that they handle the action. I loved it, man. I really love this show. And I'm looking forward to the movie that they're doing, obviously. You know, they did announce after the show, Captain America 4 is in development. It's being written by Malcolm Spellman, who ran the show ran it, head writer, wrote episodes 1 and 6, and he's co-writing it. I forget the gentleman's name, but he is the guy who wrote episode 5, Truth, is co-writing the film with him. I think that's a great combo. I think episode 5 was one of the best written episodes of the show, and I thought that Spellman did a good job kind of starting and ending it and aiding the writing team throughout. I'm really looking forward to what this film brings. You know, there's multiple pieces of this show that they could pick up on. I don't really know what it could be about. There really are different ways they could take this. And I'm excited to see what they do. As of now, there's no cast confirmed, and there isn't even a director confirmed, so we don't really have an idea of what the vision of the project is completely.
Captain America will be in it.
Yeah, the assumption is that Wilson and Sebastian Stan will be in it. The only reason they can't say confirmed is because technically they haven't like ticked it off their contract. Yep, you're in this one. So it's just crossing the T's and dotting the I's, basically, to say yes, you're in this. But the assumption is that they will both be back and be leads in the film.
Very good.
Yeah. So do you have wrap up thoughts before we close the show out?
I love the show. Yeah, 9.5 out of 10. I'd agree with that. I definitely liked it better than WandaVision. I liked WandaVision. I just think that whereas that was more on the lower end of the MCU spectrum, this is definitely top tier. I actually liked it better than Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I could give my list, but like I don't even know where I'd put it in my list. I just know what I like it better than at this point. Henry Jackman, we don't talk about Henry Jackman enough on this. Great job with the score.
Yeah, great music.
Good like mixture of the Falcon theme as well as his Cap theme, like with Sam now as Captain America, and with John Walker. A lot of good stuff. That there's that Winter Soldier screech. That I love that. So yeah, just great show. I'm looking forward to rewatching it as a whole. And yeah, I can't wait for that movie. Tune in tomorrow night for TMG After Dark to get my thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. Thank you so much for checking out all of these spoiler reviews. We do appreciate those of you who have been tuning in and watching. To briefly update on what the future of this concept will look like.
The future, Conan?
Originally, the plan was to do this for every single major show. It's not as feasible as we thought. A lot of us contribute to multiple other projects as well as whatever we are doing outside of it. So it's a little difficult to always make sure we're here. So for Loki, we will most likely come back and do these shows. But in between, we do have one big name show, and that is High School Musical. No, I'm kidding. It is Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which to my... Nope, wrong side. To my right-hand side, Mr. Sullivan there, he will be doing shorter form reviews similar to the film reviews that myself and Matt have done. He will be reviewing the episodes each and every week for you guys. giving his thoughts as probably the biggest resident Star Wars fan on the panel, I imagine.
Fair enough. I have the most time to watch it.
I like it, but so he'll be reviewing those. We should be back for Loki. Hopefully, we can come back and maybe we can implement some of you guys who tune in a little more now that we have an idea of people's availabilities and we understand how we can do this. Because I'd love to get more opinions on the show. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Be sure to check out everything on TMG Entertainment. Tomorrow at Saturday at 9 p.m. EST, we have After Dark going up. A number of news stories come out this week, so it's going to be a very, very fun week. Then following that, on Sundays, we have the Supernova Show at noon EST. All your geekiest desires are talked about in one place, so be sure to check them out there. On Monday nights at 7 p.m. EST is when Schmo Talks goes up. Unless something radically changes at the last minute, I will not have an episode go up this week, only because I'm working on a kind of surprise project for the show. That's going to take an extra week to get done. So I won't have anything this week. But I do want to thank you guys. Last week, actually, my first fan interview with one Kevin Poss, who runs our TM Geek League over on our sister channel, TMG Trivia. Not only was it the first episode of the show that broke 50 views since my interview with Kaiser, it's actually, as of today, now broken 60 views, which, again, for a small show that's on 16 episodes is incredible for me to be at that mark already. So thank you for those of you who are tuning in and watching that. And then every Tuesday afternoon, we have Cancel This Show, our political mindset show with Dr. Spaceman Alan Shepard and one Matt Beer. You can be sure to check out that show every Tuesday. That said, thank you guys so much for tuning. You were there once. And I've been in the chat.
It didn't work.
It did not work. And I've shown up in the chat while they privately record once.
Wow.
So thank you guys so much for checking us out. Please be sure to like, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. And we will see you guys next time on TMG. Take care, everybody. As I stumble to get back to where I need to.